Hello and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Here we are going to discuss some of the previous year questions of GS paper. It would have appeared in GS paper 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 depending upon what kind of questions we are discussing here. Okay, so today we will be discussing 4 questions. 2 related to environment, 1 is related to IR and 1 is related to Indian society. Okay, so let us begin with the questions first. What I would advise you is the pattern in which we will be discussing here is we will be putting up the questions, okay, and giving you a draft way of how to write the answers. My sincere advice would be you try to write the answer on your own, okay. If after that you want to verify it from a model answer, a sample answer, you can please let us know in the comment box. We will post the answers there, okay. So let us begin with the first question. The first question here is, are tolerance, assimilation and pluralism the key elements in making of an Indian form of secularism? We need to justify our answers here. Okay. So, once we undertake the first reading of the question, I got to know, okay, this is from society. Okay. For the second reading, I will underline the keywords in the question. So the first keyword is tolerance, second keyword is assimilation, and third keyword is pluralism. So the question is saying, okay, these three are the elements in the making of Indian form of secularism. So Indian form of secularism becomes our next keywords. So if we underline the keywords in the question, every time we are looking into the question, we will be focusing our directing key. We should be writing only what is being asked in these keywords. Otherwise, we tend to write what we know, not rather than what is being asked in the question. Okay. So to avoid such kind of mistakes, we need to underline the keywords in the question itself. Okay. After this, we need to begin writing the answer. So we need to keep in mind the first keyword will be tolerance, second is assimilation, third is pluralism. We need to prove that these three elements are present in the Indian form of secularism. Okay. So let us see how should be the introduction. First of all, introduction, because the keyword was also talking about Indian form of secularism. Indian form of secularism. So we need to specify what is secularism specific to India. Okay. Otherwise, we do have a normal secularism which is talking about equidistant religion, the state being equidistant to all religions. Okay. But here we need to discuss about the difference between Indian form of secularism and Western secularism in a brief idea, because this is the introduction. And as we know, for a 250 marker, this question is of 250 words. For a 250 marker, our introduction should not be crossing 3 to 4 or maximum 5 lines. Okay. So Indian form of secularism ke liye we can discuss the Indian form of secularism is talking about coherence. Okay. The Western form of secularism is a divergence between state and religion. On the other hand, Indian form of secularism is talking about the coherence between state and religion. So state will remain equidistant to all religion, respect all faith, belief, and for that we have articles 25 to 25, 26, 27, 28. All these 4 fundamental rights are related to respecting the religion, giving them freedom to develop. Okay. So in introduction, we need to limit ourselves to the difference, the core idea of Indian secularism. That core idea of Indian secularism says that there should be a coherence between state and religion. Okay. These are not two separate entities. These are not two distant entities. The state should be respecting and valuing all the religions. So that we had to write here in introduction. The next part, that is the body. In body, we will be addressing the three keywords, that is the elements of secularism. The first element being tolerance. Okay. So here, tolerance, by tolerance we mean we are tolerant, respecting all other values, all the values of different religions also. For example, in body, you could have written about, you can write about the history of leaders such as rulers such as Ashoka or Akbar, who have respected other religions also. Okay. So because of such kind of rulers, okay, because of such kind of rulers, the behavior of tolerance has been inculcated in the culture of the Indian society itself. Okay. Because of the ideologies of Dhamma, or whatever these people have propagated, that we need to respect all religions and all equally, because of this, the idea of tolerance has been inherent in, has become living in Indian society. Okay. We also can state one example in all three elements here. It can be example of Sufi saints being respected by all religions, right? So, or any other a Gori Baba or some Baba within Hinduism is also respected by all other religions. Some sadhu, some rishi is respected by all other religions because they have given such values of tolerance, right? So all religions respecting the religious leaders of a particular religion shows the tolerant behavior of Indian society. Okay. Or Indian secularism. We have also exhibited the ideas of assimilation. Assimilation matlab one religion will exhibit pattern or behavioral patterns of other religions also. This is known as assimilation because one religion has assimilated, accepted the values of other religions also. That makes Indian society, Indian secular society as a multicultural, as having a multicultural identity. For example, the example can be Buddhism in itself has been assimilated in the Hinduism. In the later stages of Buddhism, we see that it is very much assimilated in Hinduism. Okay. So, and the Buddhist philosophies, they say that has been brought from the Shramana traditions also. Shramana traditions. Shramana traditions are the core values of Hinduism. So we say that Shramana tradition values and Buddhism ideologies have matched. So we mean to say that they are rooted from this religion. So basically we are talking about here assimilation. Assimilation matlab accepting certain behaviors of other religion also. For example, we do have caste system in Islam or any other religion as well. Okay. So this is an assimilative behavior of Indian secularism. Indian secularism has also exhibited pluralism. Pluralism matlab assimilation is fine. We have accepted yours also, but we have maintained our own cultural identity as well. Okay. Pluralism is promoted by Articles 29 and 30 of the Indian Constitution. So that you can mention here the constitutional provisions. Article 29 and 30. Here we are talking about conservation of rights of minorities or preservation of heritage of language of minorities. Okay. So that can be the constitutional provisions which are protecting pluralism. Matlab, their own identity is also separate. Okay, it's also independent. And Sarvadharm Sambhav. Sarvadharm Sambhav means having good faith, good belief to all religion, having equal faith to all religion. Okay, that is Sarvadharm Sambhav. By doing this, by having equal faith in all religions, we are also promoting pluralism or tolerant behavior. Okay. So that is how we need to expand in this answer or write down the body. In the last, that's a conclusion part. Usually for a 250 marker, we need to write some content in the conclusion also and in the introduction also. Or otherwise, if it's a 150 words question, that is of 15 marks. If it is 150 words, so because the introduction and conclusion is maximum of 2 to 3 lines, so we don't have too much space to add content here. But because this is a 250 words question, so here we have a scope of adding content here. So here we can conclude by saying the presence of communal harmony in Indian society or that feeling of belongingness towards a particular state, that feeling of nation state overarching the feeling of religious belief has continued to keep this society one single binded entity. Okay. So our secularism itself has promoted the feeling of nationalism also. Okay. Keeping the society binded and we are continuing to have communal harmony and belongingness. So that is how we can conclude the answer. Okay. Now let us move to the next question. Our next question says, examine the potential of wind energy in India. Okay. And explain the reasons for the limited spatial spread. So basically the question is asking, this is a 150 words question. So we will have an introduction conclusion of only 2 to 3 lines. Now it says that we need to examine the potential of wind energy. Okay. So what is the net potential? How much we are generating or what is the total potential are two different things, right? This is asking about the potential of wind energy, and it is also asking why we are not able to expand our wind energy to various areas. What are the problems? Why are we keeping it limited to certain areas? Okay. So this question is very clear. If we know how wind energy is generated, wind energy is generated from a windmill. Okay. So windmill is a turbine attached here with 3 or 4 blades, and these blades will keep rotating, and because of their rotation there is a turbine which starts rotating, and the rotation of the turbine causes generates energy. So that is the principle of working of wind energy. Okay. Now here, because they are asking us about the potential of wind energy in India, here we need to better begin with the statistical data. In introduction, if we put up the statistical data, then it gives our answer a little edge over other answers. Okay. So statistical data mein what can we write? Presently the installed capacity is around 40 gigawatts, but the potential capacity is around 300 gigawatts. Okay. So this gap needs to be bridged. Okay. Even under the 175 gigawatts target also, 100 gigawatts is left to solar, but 60 gigawatts is our target capacity in wind energy. Okay. So we can mention about any data, either this data or this data or this data also. Okay. So first of all, we need the introduction to begin with the statistical data, that this is the potential of our wind energy in India, and this is the installed capacity. So there is a gap here. Okay. So there is a gap. So to fulfill, now we will have to explain the second part of our question, why this gap. Okay. So coming to the reasons of why these gaps are occurring, the first and foremost reason is land. Okay. For wind energy production, or this is the problem even for solar energy generation also, that we need a huge piece of empty land for generation of wind energy. Okay. Plus this land should be windy. So it can be at the valley bottoms or mountain tops. Only in these areas channeling of wind can occur. Here, because it is at the mountain top, fast wind can occur, or at the oceans or seas at the coast. Okay, here also we can install. So that itself shows the limited capability of wind energy. It shows that we cannot install windmills at any and every nook and corner of the earth, okay, or of India. Okay, we need certain windy land for production of energy or wind energy, and this land is limited in India. It is also because of urbanization, growing urbanization, and development of metro cities, bigger and bigger metro cities, because the urban areas are expanding. So we have limited availability of land which is open free for these windmills, wind turbines to be installed. Okay. So that is the first problem. The second problem is equipment. The cost of equipment is extremely high for wind energy. To give you an idea of this is approximately 6.8 to 7.2 CR per megawatt. This is the cost which is the cost incurred by the generator. Okay. So the equipment cost is quite high, and here also within this equipment cost also, offshore wind energy is even costlier than onshore ones. Again, the difference is in equipment itself, because the equipment required for offshore wind energy is way higher than that required in onshore energy. So because of the equipment cost, again the cost of wind energy generation has pulled up, which has reduced the generation capacity of India, potential, which has reduced our potential to achieve the targeted capacity. Okay. Plus poor tariff. In India, electricity is subsidized to a great extent. It is subsidized. So initially the tariff was approximately 4 rupee per unit. Okay. But recently government has brought this down to approximately 2.5 or even 2.2 in certain areas per unit. Now imagine that this is the amount that they are spending, and this is the amount that they are getting. So why would a generator generate itself of wind energy? Because of this poor tariff, because of such poor tariff, generators are not getting any motivation for generation of wind energy. So that is also limiting our potential to generate wind energy. Next pointer can be environmental concerns. So we cannot, because of this reason, we cannot put up windmills in any and every other area, because let's say if we have a large tract of land, okay, this is usually a dense forest area, and in then dense forest area you cannot install a windmill, okay. uh, Another concern is all such windmills can cause hamper to the wildlife, to the birds living in that area, okay. So we cannot, there are environmental concerns because of which the project gets stalled, wind energy project gets stalled, okay. And the last reason that we can write is grid connectivity. We do not have poor, we have very poor grid connectivity. So even if the wind energy is generated, there is no space for putting it up to grid, because it is not, every grid is not connected to all the windmills in India. So if we are generating it, we need to store it, transport it, and then start using it. It is not directly connected to grid. So because of poor grid connectivity also, we are not able to achieve our target of generation of wind energy, okay. So these are certain issues. So what can be the solution? That can be that itself becomes our conclusion, okay. So conclusion may we can write about states such as Tamil Nadu or Gujarat or Karnataka. They are amongst the leading producers of wind energy in India, okay. These are the leading states, and it is because of certain government policies. So solar and wind hybrid policy has in turn led to generation or increase of, for example, let's say we got a huge piece of land for solar energy generation. So what we are doing, we are putting up solar panels close to the ground, and we are putting up wind energy, windmills on these ground itself. So in the same piece of land, we are generating solar also, we are generating wind also, and that is because of solar and wind hybrid policy, okay. Government has also come up with offshore wind energy policy. So we can discuss about any of these policies and state that these policies are responsible for right now increasing the trend, but still the poor tariff problem and poor grid connectivity problem must be solved so that we are able to achieve the target, okay. You can mention about some of the best practices, some of the leading states in India which can become an example to other states. But in general, the states which are the leading producers will have coast, okay, because they have coast, so they can utilize the coastal areas for offshore wind energy generation, okay. So that was our second question. Now let us move to the third question. The third question here discusses about clean energy. Again, let us first find out the keywords. The first reading the question is for our own understanding. So let us undertake the first reading, which says clean energy is the order of the day. Okay. We need to describe briefly India's changing policy towards climate change in various international fora. Fora basically means organizations. Okay. In the context of geopolitics, geopolitics refers to in general IR, matlab geography related politics is geopolitics. So it is saying that clean energy is the need of the hour. It is the order of the day. Matlab clean energy basically will determine which country is the leader. Okay. So clean energy is the order of the day. It is asking what has been the change in India's stance. So in the second reading, we are looking for keywords. So in the first statement, clean energy is the keyword. Second statement, India's change in policy towards climate change. Okay. So we need to address this part. What is the change in climate policy towards the climate change? That we need to address. And in various international fora. So we need to give examples with respect to international fora. So in this forum, India took this stand. In this forum, India took this stand. That is how we need to move in the body. Okay. So let us move towards introduction. In introduction, we can mention about one of the statements made by UN chief. Okay. He made a statement that climate change or global warming gases or climate related disasters knows no boundary. Okay. It is an international crisis. Because it is an international crisis, so we want all the countries to put up cohorted efforts. We need to all come together to solve this climate crisis. Okay. So this was the statement made by UN chief, We can begin with such statements, or you can also begin with India's INDCs, which is talking about, in terms of clean energy, it is talking about 40% of cumulative. Cumulative matlab, let's say India's energy generation, matlab including TPPs, including HEPs, the thermal powers, the hydel powers, all these projects together, let's say, are generating 100 gigawatt today. Okay, so, and that's a hypothetical number, it's not true, but I'm giving an example. So 40% of what we are generating must be coming from non-fossil fuel. This was our INDCs. Okay, 40% of cumulative energy, cumulative, so 40% of this 100, okay, will be coming from non-fossil fuel, was our target under intended nationally determined contributions, INDC, which we submitted in Paris, which began its implementation from 2020. Okay, and the second, which this we have submitted very recently in Sharm el Sheikh itself, that's last year. This is known as long-term low emission development strategy, LT-LEDs, and this actually means, in this we have said, with respect to clean energy, we will be following our hydrogen policy, green hydrogen, green hydrogen policy. That is the first thing, and we will also be addressing, increasing our nuclear energy capability. Nuclear energy capability, this must be increased threefolds. So this was our LT-LEDs, okay, that our nuclear energy capability will be increased threefolds, plus we will be shifting towards the green hydrogen policy. This policy came up in 2021. Okay, so any of these three, or a combination of two of them, could have been your introduction, depending upon what is the total marks of our question. Okay, coming to the body part. Okay, so in body part, what we had to address, how we are connecting, how the climate change policy of India has changed over a period of time in terms of various international fora. So we have to mention in international fora, what was our initial climate change policy and what is it currently. Okay, so in general, India's climate change policy initially was just that the developed countries, as per the polluter pays principle, must keep funding the projects in India, so that our emissions keeps on decreasing. Okay, so we, all these years, we have been continuously asking for money. That was one of our INDCs also. Okay, but once we started implementing, okay, now our climate change policy, the current policy is that we are putting up efforts even without international support. Okay, we are putting up efforts to shift towards clean energy. Okay, the first such effort in one of the international fora is International Solar Alliance, also known as ISA. Okay, ISA, International Solar Alliance, tries, the initial plan was that all the tropical countries are the ones who are getting maximum amount of insolation, right? So let us all come together and form one sun, one world, one grid. Okay, and we will be putting up all the solar energy that we are generating in one grid, so that at least all the tropical countries have shifted towards the solar energy. Okay, initially the idea was only tropical countries, but the non-tropical countries also mooted the idea, they appreciated the idea, and they have also joined the International Solar Alliance. Okay, so that can be one of the policy of international fora, our climate change policy in international fora. The second international fora is I2U2. Okay, this is a grouping of India, Israel, US and UAE. Okay, so this is a grouping of India, Israel, US and UAE. These four countries together have been working. They have found out certain 6 sectors to work together. One of the sector in these 6 sectors is clean energy. Okay, so India is also seeking help in terms of technology transfer and also financial assistance to develop towards or shift towards clean energy. And assistance is being provided by UAE, USA, as well as Israel. Okay, so another another international fora wherein we have prioritized energy, clean energy. Okay. Plus, we have also declared that we will become a net zero emitter by 2070. If we are calling ourselves as a net zero emitter, it does not mean that the emission will become zero. It means that whatever we are emitting, that will be reabsorbed by 2070. That is the meaning of net zero emitter. Okay. Plus, in Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which is mostly under the heads of US, Japan, which have also called India. Okay, they are talking about free and open Indo-Pacific region. This grouping is also working towards clean energy. And the last part, this is Quad grouping. Okay, this is basically Quad grouping for climate change, adaptation and mitigation practices. Okay, so QCHAM is the Quad grouping's task to shift towards clean energy. So these are certain international forums wherein India has put up efforts, or either in terms of becoming a leader in itself, or in terms of setting up clean energy establishments, or in terms of getting technical assistance, or in terms of getting financial assistance, or in terms of giving financial assistance or technical assistance to somebody. Okay, so by all these international forums, India's climate change policy has become a clear stand that we want, or we are shifting towards clean energy. Okay, so that is how you can address the body. The last part, that's the conclusion part, maybe we can write about what more should be done. Okay, what more should be done includes information dissemination. Information dissemination matlab you're imparting information. Okay, I got to know that this is the change occurring here, methane emissions are higher here. Let's say satellite based detection occurred that methane emissions are higher here, so we need to put up more efforts in this region to reduce the methane emissions. So such kind of information dissemination or research or building resilience matlab robustness, how well you are able to face the climatic disasters. Okay, or climate change, such kind of resilience. For example, with respect to resilience, we have shifted towards NICRA. This NICRA is talking about climate resilient agriculture. So in agriculture, we are adapting ourselves that the climate change is bound to occur. Now, should we adapt our agriculture itself to shift towards a climate resilient agriculture? Okay, so that can be one of the conclusions. Research, information dissemination can be one of the conclusions, or even mission life. Mission life is basically nudge environmental propaganda, nudge environmental strategy rather, wherein government is nudging people that you undertake responsible consumption. Please don't undertake plastic pollution. Please try to efficiently utilize energy or water. Please don't waste food. So changing the public agenda, changing the public the manner in which public is handling environment, or just trying to reduce the public climate footprint. So for that, we have launched, our government has launched Mission Life. So that also can become one of our conclusion pointers. Okay, so with that we can conclude this answer. Now let us move towards the fourth and the final question, that is related to I2U2. Okay, now reading the question in the first go, it says, how will I2U2 grouping transform India's position in global politics? Okay, so how will this, so our keywords becomes I2U2, in which they have explained, in the question itself they have explained what is I2U2. Okay, so how will this grouping transform, change India's position in global politics? So our keywords becomes India's position in global politics. How is this getting updated because of this organization? Okay, so that is the question we asked here. It is also a 250 words. So we have this is almost 15 marker question, almost. This is a 15 marker question, and we need to address the question in 250 words. So let us see what can be the introduction. Here the introduction is, we need to, about I2U2, we first need to describe about what is I2U2. It is a grouping of foreign ministers of India, Israel, US and UAE. Okay, then we need to write about the sectors of cooperation. So there are 6 sectors of cooperation, that includes transport, health, food, clean energy, water, uh, and space. Okay, so these are the 6 areas in which the foreign ministers of these 4 countries will group together and address these the challenges, whatever these 4 countries are facing. The challenges will be addressed in these 6 sectors only. Okay, so that is the idea of I2U2. Amongst the projects, this can also be the introduction. You can write about any 2 combinations. For example, after I2U2, we can switch towards examples of the projects which are running in India. For example, we are getting $2 billion, $2 billion assistance. Okay, to work on these sectors, we are getting $2 billion from I2U2. Okay, or we can also write about huge solar wind hybrid farm which is being set up, in Gujarat. Okay, from assistance coming from I2U2. So we can write about I2U2 and the projects, or I2U2 and the sectors of cooperation. Okay, so that can be our introduction. With that simple introduction, which is clearly hitting the bull's eye, we will move towards the body part. The body here says that if we are able to address the issues, okay, if we are able to join the I2U2, how will it internationalize? You remember, because the question was, how will it improve, transform India's image in global politics? Okay, so how do we internationalize India? Okay, how do we bring ourselves to limelight by these methods? Okay, the first thing is Abraham Accord. Abraham Accord was signed between Israel and other Arab countries. Okay, so in this grouping also we have Israel, India, Israel, US and UAE. UAE being an Arab nation, Israel being Israel itself. Okay, so the Abraham Accord has been signed between Israel and other nations, other Arab nations also, like Egypt, UAE and all that. Okay, now because Abraham Accords are signed, so it should not hamper. For example, earlier if we had any relationship with Israel, so all the Arab countries will have complaints saying you should not have good relations with Israel because it is causing, it is damaging the Palestinian civil population. It is affecting them. Okay, so earlier we had this problem. Now because of Abraham Accords and such grouping, this problem might not occur. Okay, will reduce. So India can happily have relationship with Israel as well as the Arab world also, without anybody having a negative judgment towards us. Okay, the second thing is India can help in bringing peace and prosperity in the Middle East region. Middle East Asia, or West Asia, what we call them, is basically a zone of contention. It can be because of ethnic clashes, it can be because of foreign countries' interventions such as US and Russia. It can also be because of oil related issues. It can also be because of any other issue, I'm saying. Okay, India itself can behave as a upbringer of, or bringing of, peace and prosperity in the region, because India is respected by all other nations in the Arab world also, including Israel. It says that we can trust India, we have full faith in India. Okay, so if we help in bringing peace and prosperity in the region, so we will be able to stabilize the region. Okay, plus it will also help in the strategic or economic strengthening of India's position there. Okay, if we are able to get money from there or put up infrastructural projects there, or because our labors are also working there, so if we are able to work here, if we are able to work together with Israel or UAE like countries, we will also be able to develop our economic and strategic strengthening here. Okay, plus we will be able to counter the Chinese presence. So China is also trying to pull in. We know that recently China has brought Iran and other nations together in the region. Okay, so because China is also interfering in Middle East, if we enter into a grouping of countries like I2U2, we will be able to reduce the Chinese presence there, or Chinese dominance in the region. Okay, plus India's stand in the Russia-Ukraine war has been taken very negatively by the Western world. Okay, because we have abstained from voting against Russia it has not been taken positively at all by all the Western countries. Because of that, it has strained our relationship with Japan or with USA also. Okay, so if we get into a grouping of I2, U2 like this, so India's stand in Russia-Ukraine war will also be clear ki we are just being neutral in our stand. Okay. Okay, because it is a 250 marker question, so after introducing this body, after putting up this body which is saying how will it improve international, how will it improve India's international image, we just need to briefly discuss about the concerns related to I2, U2 also. Okay, the concerns are, first of all, Russia. Okay, Russia itself is forming a separate grouping, two groupings. Okay, wherein we can say Russia, China, or Iran, Turkey. All such countries will come on one side of the line. On the other side will be countries like I2, U2. Okay, so such kind of two international groupings are forming here. Plus, West always has seen as our good relations with Russia, and Russia nowadays it is witnessing ki we have now, India has now become a tool of the Western world. So if we join a grouping like this, I2, U2, if we are able to join the grouping like this, if we join a grouping like this, then it will not be seen with good eye from Russia. Okay, it will bring criticism from Russia. Okay, so these are the two concerns related to joining I2, U2. Plus Arab stability. Okay, right now we know that Israel and UAE have signed the Abraham Accord and they are happy in relationship. But in principle, Israel and Arab world have conceptual differences, principal differences, and the stability of the Middle East region, depending upon Abraham Accords, is giving too much weightage to Abraham Accord to bring in peace in the region. So Arab stability itself is a very big question whether we will be able to address this or not. Okay, so this can be some of the concerns of I2, U2 that also we can write in our answer. And finally comes the conclusion part. The conclusion can be that India's stance of international politics has always been non-alliance. We have always projected and will continue to project ourselves as a non-aligned country. We are not aligned to any poles. We are not interested in war. Okay, so that can be one of our conclusion. You can also write joining a grouping such as I2, U2, which also prioritizes clean energy, okay, or better transport, okay, or better water systems, better efficiency of water system, reduce, reuse, recycle. If we are able to do this, then we will be able to address the climate change related issues which are occurring in India, or rather we will be able to address, fulfill our targets mentioned under LTLEDs or INDCs. Okay, so with that we can conclude positively, stating positive about the grouping also. Okay, so with that we come to the end of this video discussion. We will continue to discuss the previous year papers. Okay, my suggestion would be, please write the answer on your own. Okay, if you want to compare it with a model answer, you can please post it in the comment box. We will put it up, and then you can compare what can be the model answer and what you have written. But please, at the first instance, you try to write the answer on your own based upon all these inputs. Okay, thank you so much and all the very best.